Behind the glitter and glamour of old Hollywood's golden age lies a forgotten truth: some of the most daring, talented, and dangerously magnetic actresses never became household names. They delivered fearless performances, challenged studio norms, and lit up the screen with raw intensity. But studio politics, scandals, and cruel timing pushed them out of the spotlight. Today, their names are rarely mentioned, yet their work remains shockingly powerful, provocative, and unforgettable. This is the untold side of Hollywood's past, bold women history chose to forget. Number 1. Teresa Wright. Teresa Wright was one of old Hollywood's most naturally gifted actresses, known for her quiet realism and emotional depth rather than glamour. Born in 1918 in New York City, she began her career on Broadway before making a powerful Hollywood debut in The Little Foxes, 1941, earning an Academy Award nomination. Just 1 year later, she won the Oscar for Best Supporting Actress for Mrs. Miniver, 1942, becoming one of the few actresses to receive major awards so early in her career. Her most iconic performance came in Alfred Hitchcock's Shadow of a Doubt, 1943, where she played a young woman who slowly discovers her beloved uncle may be a serial killer. The role is still considered one of Hitchcock's finest character-driven performances. Despite this success, Wright's career slowed after she clashed with studio executives, particularly Samuel Goldwyn, refusing long-term contracts and the studio system's control. Unlike many stars, she chose artistic integrity over fame, working extensively in theater and later television. Though often overlooked today, Teresa Wright remains a critically respected actress whose performances have aged with remarkable strength and authenticity. Number 2. Ida Lupino. Ida Lupino was one of the most fearless and unconventional women in old Hollywood, both in front of and behind the camera. Born in London in 1918, she came from a family deeply rooted in theater and entered Hollywood in the 1930s. As an actress, she became known for playing tough, emotionally complex women in films like They Drive by Night, 1940, and High Sierra, 1941, often portraying characters far removed from the glamorous stereotypes of the era. What truly set Lupino apart was her transition into directing at a time when female directors were almost non-existent. In the late 1940s and early 1950s, she directed a series of low-budget but socially bold films such as Outrage, 1950, which dealt with sexual assault, and The Hitchhiker, 1953, the first classic film noir directed by a woman. These films tackled taboo subjects Hollywood studios avoided. Because she worked outside the major studio system, Lupino never received mainstream fame or industry support during her lifetime. However, today she is widely recognized by historians as a pioneer for women filmmakers. Ida Lupino's legacy is one of courage, realism, and quiet rebellion against Hollywood's rigid rules. Number 3. Jean Arthur. Jean Arthur was one of old Hollywood's most distinctive and talented actresses, celebrated for her husky voice, expressive face, and effortless comic timing. Born in 1900 in New York, she rose to prominence during the 1930s and became a defining figure of the screwball comedy era. Her breakthrough came with Frank Capra's Mr. Deeds Goes to Town, 1936, followed by acclaimed performances in You Can't Take It With You, 1938, and Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, 1939, both of which are now considered American classics. Despite her success, Arthur was deeply uncomfortable with fame. She suffered from extreme shyness and anxiety, often avoiding Hollywood publicity and studio events. This reluctance to play the movie star role made her difficult for studios to market aggressively, especially compared to more glamorous contemporaries. Unlike many actresses of her era, she rarely relied on sex appeal, instead winning audiences through intelligence, warmth, and emotional sincerity. In the 1940s, she gradually withdrew from films and later turned to theater and teaching. Jean Arthur received only one Academy Award nomination despite her iconic body of work. Today, while her films are still admired by classic cinema fans, her name is far less recognized than her influence deserves, making her one of old Hollywood's most quietly forgotten greats. Number 4. Barbara Stanwyck. Barbara Stanwyck was one of the most powerful and versatile actresses of old Hollywood, yet she never received the level of mainstream adoration her talent deserved. Born in Brooklyn in 1907, she rose from a difficult childhood to become one of Hollywood's most respected performers. Her career spanned more than 5 decades, covering melodrama, comedy, westerns, and some of the greatest film noir performances ever captured on screen. Stanwyck earned 4 Academy Award nominations for films such as Stella Dallas, 1937, and Double Indemnity, 1944, but never won a competitive Oscar during her acting career. Her performance as the ruthless femme fatale Phyllis Dietrichson in Double Indemnity is now considered one of the greatest in film history. Despite this, she was often labeled difficult by studios because she demanded strong roles and fair treatment. Unlike many stars, Stanwyck avoided Hollywood glamour and publicity, focusing purely on her craft. She later found renewed success in television, winning multiple Emmy Awards. In 1982, she received an honorary Academy Award acknowledging her extraordinary contribution to cinema. Today, critics revere her work, but the general audience often overlooks her lasting impact on classic Hollywood acting. Number 5, Gloria Grahame. Gloria Grahame was one of old Hollywood's most unforgettable screen presences, especially within film noir, yet her career never reached the lasting fame her talent warranted. Born in 1923 in Los Angeles, she entered films in the mid-1940s and quickly stood out for her husky voice, vulnerable expressions, and morally complex characters. She often played women who were wounded, dangerous, or emotionally fragile, roles few actresses of her time dared to embrace. Her most celebrated performances came in noir classics such as In a Lonely Place, 1950, The Big Heat, 1953, and Crossfire, 1947, for which she won the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress. Despite this achievement, Grahame struggled to secure leading roles. Studio executives viewed her as unconventional and difficult to market as a traditional star. Personal scandals and an increasingly troubled private life further damaged her reputation in Hollywood, leading to fewer quality opportunities. By the late 1950s, her film career had largely declined. Today, Gloria Grahame is recognized by critics as one of film noir's defining actresses, but her name remains unfamiliar to many modern viewers, making her legacy both powerful and tragically overlooked. Number 6, Anne Dvorak. Anne Dvorak was a strikingly talented actress whose career was derailed by Hollywood's rigid studio system rather than a lack of ability. Born in New York City in 1911, she trained as a dancer before transitioning into films in the early 1930s. She gained major attention with her powerful performance in Scarface, 1932, where she played Tony Camonte's tragic, self-destructive girlfriend. The role showcased a raw emotional intensity that stood out even among seasoned co-stars. Despite this breakthrough, Dvorak's refusal to fully submit to long-term studio contracts caused problems. When she briefly left Warner Brothers to work in Europe without permission, the studio suspended her, a move that effectively stalled her momentum at a crucial point in her career. Although she returned to Hollywood and delivered strong performances in films like 3 on a Match, 1932, and Heat Lightning, 1934, she was never given the consistent star treatment again. Unlike many of her contemporaries, Dvorak was known for choosing challenging roles over glamorous ones. By the 1940s, her screen appearances became less frequent, and she eventually stepped away from films altogether. Today, Anne Dvorak is remembered mainly by classic film enthusiasts, despite being one of the most emotionally fearless actresses of early Hollywood. Number 7, Dorothy Malone. Dorothy Malone was an actress of striking beauty who struggled for years to escape typecasting in old Hollywood. Born in Chicago in 1925, she was signed by RKO Pictures in the 1940s and spent much of her early career playing small, decorative roles that did little to showcase her abilities. Though she appeared in notable films like The Big Sleep, 1946, her talent remained largely underused for nearly a decade. Her breakthrough finally came with Written on the Wind, 1956, where she delivered a bold and emotionally charged performance as Mary Lee Hadley, a sexually frustrated and rebellious heiress. The role earned her the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress and revealed a depth few had previously recognized. However, despite this success, studios continued to limit her to roles that emphasized glamour over substance. Malone later found moderate success on television, including a leading role in the series Peyton Place during the 1960s. Although she achieved recognition during her lifetime, her film legacy has faded compared to other actresses of her era. Today, Dorothy Malone is remembered mainly for a single daring performance, despite possessing far greater range than Hollywood allowed her to show. Number 8. Susan Hayward. Susan Hayward was one of old Hollywood's most intense and emotionally powerful actresses, yet her name is often overlooked today. Born in 1917 in New Jersey, she began her career in modeling before transitioning to films in the late 1930s. Early on, studios often cast her in secondary or stereotypical, blonde bombshell, roles, but her talent for portraying deeply conflicted and passionate characters soon became evident. Her breakthrough came with Smash Up, The Story of a Woman, 1947, earning her the first of 5 Academy Award nominations. Hayward became particularly known for portraying strong, resilient women facing extraordinary hardships, as seen in With a Song in My Heart, 1952, and I Want to Live. 1958, the latter earning her an Oscar for Best Actress. Her performances combined vulnerability with a raw, almost magnetic intensity, making her one of the era's most compelling screen presences. Despite her talent, studio politics and her typecasting in melodramatic roles prevented her from achieving the enduring fame of contemporaries like Bette Davis or Joan Crawford. Today, Susan Hayward remains a critical favorite, celebrated for her fearless, emotionally charged performances, but her legacy is far too often forgotten by mainstream audiences. Number 9. Linda Darnell. Linda Darnell was one of old Hollywood's most strikingly beautiful actresses, paired with a surprising depth of talent that often went unrecognized. Born in 1923 in Dallas, Texas, she was discovered as a teenager and quickly signed by 20th Century Fox. Early in her career, she was frequently cast as the glamorous romantic lead, but Darnell proved she could handle emotionally complex and intense roles far beyond her pretty face image. She delivered some of her finest performances in films like Forever Amber, 1947, and A Letter to Three Wives, 1949, showcasing vulnerability, strength, and a rare ability to convey inner turmoil. Her natural screen presence and expressive eyes made her performances deeply memorable, yet studio politics and personal struggles often limited the roles she received. Tragically, Darnell's life was cut short when she died in a house fire in 1965 at the age of 41, leaving her career incomplete. Despite her undeniable talent and a body of work that continues to impress classic film fans, Linda Darnell remains an underrated star whose legacy has faded from mainstream memory, even though her performances remain timeless. Number 10. Peggy Cummins. Peggy Cummins was a British-born actress whose sharp talent and striking presence made her a standout in old Hollywood, yet she never received the lasting recognition she deserved. Born in 1925 in Wales, she began acting as a teenager and quickly gained attention for her poise, charm, and versatility. Cummins is best remembered for her role in the cult classic film Noir Gun Crazy, 1950, where she played the dangerously seductive and ambitious Annie Laurie Starr, a performance that remains electrifying decades later. Despite her skill, Cummins' career never reached mainstream stardom. Studio politics, the limited number of strong female roles, and her decision to work both in the US and UK fragmented her career trajectory. While she continued to act in films and theater, many of her performances went unnoticed by a wider audience, overshadowed by more heavily promoted stars. Today, Peggy Cummins is celebrated by cinephiles as one of the most compelling actresses of the noir era. Her fearless portrayals, particularly in morally complex roles, highlight her remarkable talent. Yet, outside classic film circles, her name is rarely mentioned, making her a truly underrated gem of old Hollywood. Old Hollywood may have glittered with stars, but many of its brightest lights quietly flickered and faded, leaving behind performances that still haunt the soul. These actresses dared to be bold, raw, and unforgettable, yet fame and fortune often slipped through their fingers. Today, their names may be whispered only by devoted cinephiles, but their artistry remains eternal, a bittersweet reminder that true talent can shine brilliantly, even when the world forgets to notice.